Well, happy President's Day. Want to bring you the latest data here in the Austin metro area. And I have a question for you. Is the market heating up or is it cooling off? Well, it's kind of complicated. It might depend where you're looking and what type of property you're looking at. I can say right now, on one hand, we're seeing some of the best properties in good neighborhoods. If they're priced really well, some of those are getting multiple offers and selling in the first weekend. And yet at the same time, we're seeing inventory build up. Days on market are still a little longer. And year over year, the price continues to soften a bit. So let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail, and I'll try to show you what's going on. So this is a heat map. This is January 2025 and January 2024, the comparison. So the median price change, well, you can see some orange colors. That is the median price has gone up a bit in those areas. These are zip codes. And then the blue areas, you're seeing the median price has come down in those areas. Well, it's kind of confusing because it's a little splotchy and all over the place. But I'll try to show you a little detail, maybe where we're seeing a little more action than others. So this is the west side of the market. This is a higher priced area, good school districts, typically a wealthy part of the market. It's holding up pretty well. We're seeing those areas see the median price. And again, there could be some discrepancy in there if there's not a lot of sales, January over January. But again, we're seeing those areas do pretty well. The middle of the market, think in between Mopac and I-35, central north, central south, okay, not doing great, little cool too, as we bend around the east side. But then as we get maybe out into the farther zip codes, kind of out on the edges of the suburbs where you're building a lot of new construction, we're seeing the median prices do okay there as well. That's price. But again, that doesn't tell us the whole story. This is just number of sales. Where are we seeing more sales? Where are we seeing less sales? And again, this is 1 month, and typically January is a slower month. So please take this with a grain of salt. But if we look at number of sales change, again, here is kind of Westlake, Great Hills, kind of that central west, very popular, higher priced zip codes. We're seeing southwest towards Southwest Austin and Dripping Springs. We're seeing the Lakeway and the lake areas. Cedar Park do really well, Liberty Hill, and then your outer areas where the affordability makes more sense. Where is it a little cooler? Well, again, if we look central south, this is 04, 45, 78, 49, that kind of central core, which is typically a little older and a little more expensive. It's slow. And as we look north of downtown, we're kind of looking through Allendale, Crestview, Rosedale. All these areas are typically slower. That does not necessarily mean the price is going to be worse. It just means there's less buyer activity. There's not as many sales, as not as much turnover in those areas. So we're either seeing the really high price stuff doing well, maybe the really affordable stuff doing well, but that kind of middle seems to be a little slow right now. Let's look at some data from January. So this is the total metro area. These are stats from the Austin MLS. So the median sales price for the total metro area, we're down a little less than 5%. Some of that is, yes, the homes have gotten a little less expensive, but it also means when you look at a median price, it just means more buyers are buying affordable properties too. So they're pulling the median down by buying more of those more affordable properties in the suburbs versus the stuff in the city. And so we're seeing that median sales price continue to soften year over year. Closed sales up a little bit, not much, but we have seen a little bit of buyer activity pick up in the area. Sales dollar volume, again, pretty equal with last year. Months of inventory, though, continues to climb. Why? New listings. We're up 20%. Year over year. So if you are a buyer right now, you've never seen this many homes for sale in Austin. We have a lot of homes for sale. You have to also imagine the sellers in the second half of 22, 23, and 24. If they didn't get their home sold and they still want to sell it, they're going to bring it back to market. And so what's happening is we're just starting to stack up these years of sellers that couldn't get their properties sold. We have some buyer activity, but not enough to absorb all the properties that need to get sold. And so that's why we're going to continue to see days on market down here in the bottom left, 84 days. Days on market is going to continue to go up. Inventory is going to continue to go up until demand picks up and starts balancing that out. So we're seeing active listings. These are the ones actively for sale on the market. We're up 16% year over year. Pending sales are down. So even though we do have some buyers in the good spots buying up inventory, we don't have it all over the map. And that's what we're waiting to see. So the pending sales are still down. The average close to list price tightening just a little bit. That is, if you started at 500,000, maybe you lowered your price a little bit. You finally got it sold a little below that. So that's your average close to list price. It's about 7.5%, 8% from the starting list price. This is Williamson County. You won't see a huge difference, but again, median sales price, we're sitting right about 400,000. It's down from January last year. Closed sales pretty even. Sales dollar volume down a little bit. Months of inventory not as bad as the total metro area, but climbing. But new listings are up 12%. Active listings up 18%. Pending still down. So same story that we saw, and their close to list price is neck and neck with the total market. And then here's Hays County to the south. Their median price not as bad because they were already more affordable. So their price change really isn't that different, but they're sitting a little over 350. Closed sales up about 5%. Sales dollar volume, again, not too different, but months of inventory climbing. And they have a lot of new construction in Hays County. We're looking at Kyle especially. New listings up 24%. Active listings up 16%. So again, the story is more listings, longer days on market. And if you're in the right spot, priced really well, you still might have a quick sale. So I know that's confusing, but that's what we're seeing in the market. We haven't seen it spread across all categories. And that's really the part we're waiting to see in the market. All right, let me get back up here. This is the current number of active versus sold single family home listings in the market. And you can see where we peaked out last year in June. We had about 13,700 single family homes, came down in the winter, December 10.3, January 10.4, and February right now 10.2. So, you know, we're starting higher than we did in January last year, but we're still just kind of hovering sideways. We'll wait to see when that bell curve really kicks up. I expect we'll see that by March. All right, let's talk a little bit about the rental market. So when people aren't buying, what happens? They rent. And so Austin's rental market by percentage has really climbed. So typically, you know, I don't remember the numbers, but, you know, right now I'd say at least another 5% of the market is renting now compared to the past. So fewer buyers, more renters. So what's happening is there's a lot of rental inventory. It's absorbing those renters, but leasing is up about 9.5%. Listings are up 11.7%. You can't get your home sold, you put it on the rent market. Or you know, more apartments have come on the market, more duplexes on the market. The average sold price for the single families is not too bad. It's flat, but down about 1.1%, median about 2.4%. It's still a little soft, and the days on market are climbing. Same story we're seeing in the sales market. The main reason is inventory. It's supply. So it's not that, hey, if they're not buying, how come the rent market isn't super hot? There's a lot of renters. There's just a lot of supply. Duplexes, we're seeing the same story. It's a little softer on the duplex side. Leasing is down a little bit. Listings are up. The average price is pretty neck and neck with last year. Median's down about 3.7%, but days on market's up 25%. So it's taking longer, almost 2 months now to get a typical duplex unit leased. That used to be a week during the pandemic. So taking a little longer. Here's one of the reasons why. So there are new style rental communities called build to rent communities. Think of, instead of an apartment complex, which might be big buildings, maybe 300 units, they have a central pool or a gym. Think the exact same thing, but instead of having apartment units, you have single family homes. And so those are called build to rent communities. They're very popular here. This took off during the pandemic. It became kind of a new style of building rental communities. So they're built kind of like apartment complexes. They're going to have a leasing center. They're going to have some central amenities like a pool or a dog park. And instead of renting an apartment, you go rent a single family house in the neighborhood. So if we look at Austin's suburbs, are some of the hottest in the country for building these. In Hutto, and Hutto only has, I don't know, 20, 30,000 people. You know, there's one community that's going to have 1,253 rental single family homes that they're building in it. So that's Hutto. City of Austin proper is only going to have 200. And yet Hutto is going to have 1,200, and it's way smaller. So you're going to have a lot of these now. It's maybe 1, 2, or 3 communities in Hutto, but they're competing with homeowners who are also trying to rent their homes out. right? So you added all that supply to the market. Leander's getting 860, Round Rock 651, Georgetown. So once you get down into the twos or threes, again, it's about the size of one apartment complex, 300 units. So the market can absorb them. But when you put all that supply in the market at one time, it takes time. So what we're hearing from our commercial multifamily folks is that Austin's doing fine. The absorption rate, how fast they're able to rent them out, is good. We just put so much supply in the market. It's going to take another year, maybe two. But once we get through that, the build cycle for this stuff, for apartment complexes, for rent to home, build to rent communities, is dropping off. All that free, cheap money is drying up. The land's expensive. The cost to build is expensive. So while all these units are coming to market, think of like an ocean wave. It is going to flatten out, and we'll start to see the rent market kind of stabilize and start to climb again, probably within 12 to 24 months. That's what we're hearing, word on the street. All right, finally, let's talk about mortgage rates. Hey, tiny sliver of good news. Look at the 30-year fixed. We're under 7%. That's the first time I've seen that in 2025. We'll see. It's very turbulent. But anyways, that would be nice if it can stay at or below that. If you're on an FHA VA, you're probably in the low sixes right now. If you're highly qualified as a buyer and you get underwritten, good credit score, decent down payment, you're probably in the mid sixes when you get underwritten with a lender. So anyways, if you're a seller right now, the good news is the market is starting to stabilize. We are seeing a little bit of more buyer activity out there, but as a whole, it's not really much better than last year. So it's still pretty flat. You got to be very competitive. Your property's got to be in great shape because the buyers are going to go look at 10, 15, 20 things. There's a lot of inventory before they make a decision. You got to be the best one they want to buy. If you're a buyer right now, inventory is your friend. You want the most stuff you can look at so that you can make a decision and find the property that works for you. You still have some negotiating power. And then watch rates. Rates are really going to be volatile. So it's good to have that communication with your lender. Anyways, hope this was helpful. If you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in Austin, now would be a great time to get in touch with us. And of course, if you want to follow our videos each and every week, make sure to check out our YouTube channel at Ryan Kelly Group. Click that subscribe button, and we'd love to have you follow along. Anyways, we're going to get a cold snap midweek. So bundle up those pipes and pets and plants, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks.